Turn around from Grove like I'm CJ. Stay on these niggas' lines, ain't no three-way. Chase the sucker down, ain't no leeway. Stay up out my motherfucking lane, this ain't no freeway. Yeah, I got a heart, but the love gone. Don't feel emotion even when I hear a love song. These niggas don't want smoke like the bug on. I leave niggas dripping like somebody left the tub on. Catch me in the ghetto with a stick. What? I told her I'm a Mac, not a pimp. My niggas in the field with a bip. I'm a 800 nigga like a killer named Dip. She wanna be my bitch, but they all do. These niggas in they feelings like the bras do. You can't have my number, I'ma call you.
Welcome to another episode of the Happy Hour Show. I'm your boy, Mr. Overtime, along with my cousins.
Roddy.
Mikey Slacks.
And today we got Gunna in the building. What's up, man?
What's up with y'all, man? How y'all feeling?
I'm ecstatic, bro. People don't know because y'all high profile demand all over. Yeah. It's been crazy trying to get y'all. So King, I really appreciate you being here with us today.
I'm humbled by it. The end of the day.
One thing that I admire about you, brother, is your ability to speak for your people.
For sure.
And speak about yourself in a way that you have people atone and really look into it, and they can really appreciate what you're saying in a nonchalant way. Like, you keep it 100 for sure.
Top, man.
Because I think that you are simply phenomenal.
I appreciate that, man. Y'all over here, man. Got a gangster over here smiling, man. Shout out to y'all.
I'm glad you said gangster. And it's really good how you embodied it, but you put this spin on it to make it so player. Being here in Fillmore, legendary, historic building and neighborhood. You know what I mean? You grew up in the infamous 800, and I think that's a good way to start because it shows some of that buildup of the man that who we are in front of today. Is that cool? Can we start back?
Yeah. So, to be clear, my grandmother, she migrated to the Banneker homes from Owensboro, Kentucky with my mother and her siblings in, I believe, the 70s. So my mother birthed her first child in the early 80s, which was my older brother. Then she birthed me. She met my father, I believe, in City College.
Nice.
So, unfortunately, crack had hit. And when 80s. Crack had hit, my grandmother was like, hey, we gotta get up out of here. So my mother took me from the hospital, from my understanding, took me to the Banneker homes. But after that, she began to move me around. Of course, I knew where I was from because my family was, my family's still in the Bannekers, and then my grandmother ended up moving to Golden Gate in Laguna. But growing up, being from the Mo, my mom still got her hair done in the Mo, still got her, she still got the car fixed in the Mo and all that. It was always rich in culture. So I knew early on about art. I knew early on about jazz. I knew early on about music, just in general, and then also Black history, because that's the type of household that I came up in. But unfortunately, I didn't get to catch the Mo Black San Francisco before crack. Because when my aunties and them tell me the stories, and my mom, it's a whole different rendition of what I got.
Yeah.
So I remember
Harlem of the West.
For sure. So I remember the 90s was kind of tough for me because I went to all these different schools. I went to Pari Vere, I went to Juniper Sear, I went to like 10 elementaries, bro. Oh, and being from the Mo, she was like, you're not gonna be around nobody from Fillmoe, because she thought she was helping me, saving me. I had to fight everywhere I went, you know what I'm saying? Alamany, Trail Hill, The Point, Sunnydale, you know what I mean? Everywhere you can think of, you know what I'm saying? But it also built my character, because I also feel like either you're gonna beast up or you're gonna turn into a bitch. And of course, I didn't do the latter.
We come out of that, we start getting into music, right?
For sure.
What was your driving point? What was some things? Being from Fillmore, I mean, historic. We got the mayor. We got so many iconic people. JT. I mean, the list goes on. You know what I mean? Yeah. Do you rendition a little bit of that? Being able, from the set, and you have these iconic figures that you see and you can kind of relate to?
Well, my musical influence, as far as me wanting to get into music, it was the 5 Heartbeats. Like, when I watched the 5 Heartbeats, that's when I was like, all right, I'm gonna get into music for sure. When Eddie came, he made old girl, it wasn't Baby Doll, but old girl, he made her faint. I was just like, man, I gotta do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, I'm just being honest.
You, right?
So, my older brother could rap. He was rapping over instrumentals, Bone Thugs and Harmony cassette tapes. So this is way back. Pac was still alive, so it had to be like maybe 96. And I just remember watching him freestyle. I used to just be like, damn, this is really dope. Well, him and his partners, I used to go in the garage and watch him freestyle. But me personally, I believe English classes when I knew I was gonna rap. You know what I'm saying? Because Mr. Johnson, he had given us an opportunity. He said you can do poetry, you can make a write in the journal. I was like, man, can we rap? He was like, man, you can do whatever you want to do. I still got that rap book somewhere, and I was like, all right, it's lit. And from there, I didn't know how I was gonna get in the studio. I just spoken into the universe. Like, you know, we got karaoke machines and stuff like that, so I'm just rapping, freestyling. Wasn't really good at freestyling. My partners was. And we got in the studio, and then after that, I was like, all right, I can build on this.
I got with you really earlier in your career. My brother hit me to you in, I believe, I want to say 2009, 2010, and he was starting to buzz. And mind you, he calling me from the pen. You know what I'm saying? He was just ramping about Gunna. And I was like, as an up and coming radio host, I was like, if Bruh say he the truth, I gotta get him. And the first time I met you, I was just so astonished about just the way you talked and you carried yourself. And it was like, you know, like in a way how a bully come into a room and people are afraid of him. So like, it's like, oh, I respect, you know. But with you, it's like, you have that same respect of like, I don't want to say a fear, but like, in a calmness, like, I feel okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like bruh.
Because I'm not malicious. There's no malicious or ill will intent in me. You know, growing up, I've always been an honor roll student, so I was amongst people who weren't quote unquote like in the streets. And I haven't lost my identity. So if you take away my survival instincts, I would be like you, like him over there. I've always understood, all right, I'm in the streets, but I'm not gonna let that alter ego or that defense mechanism destroy me. And that's oftentimes what happens, because you go to war. You feel me? When you know people you grew up with, they go to the military, they come back, they be fucked up. It's the same in the streets because the trauma's not being dealt with. So you go from making jokes, being super cool, now what you looking at? What's up, bro? And everybody you come into contact with, you have like this, like you said, bully. I don't vibe with bullies. As a matter of fact, I always clash with them. You know what I'm saying? So me, I go in the rooms, and if I don't have a problem with a person, then I'm the person that my grandmother and my parents raised. If I do have a problem with a person, then that's a whole nother space. But I also grew up around honorable street dudes. You know what I'm saying? That they never encouraged us to be in the streets. They opened the doors for the elders. They helped with bags. They seen us, gave us money and stuff. So I don't come from the street dudes that I feel like modern are clowns. I consider them clowns. I come from, you know, men that happen to be in the streets.
I'm glad you phrased it like that, because someone can see the image and try to relate that. And that's why I'm glad we iterated on that. And it catapults to the center of people just seeing and not actually understanding and vibing and being with.
They can always stereotype you. When they see me, you have tattoo, I have tattoos, locks, eye patch, they expect me to be ignorant, they expect me to be what they see on TV, but they don't know my parents is college graduates. I'm a college dropout, 2-time college dropout, and like I said, I always had AP classes, you know what I'm saying? I was in the GATE program, which is for gifted students and stuff growing up. So I happen to be in the streets, but I don't come from being dumb.
We come up, we fall into some little trouble, and we had to take a vacation. We take a vacation, and then this time we come home. Can you talk about someone that's been incarcerated and the effects that it brings to people? Like you said, just like a soldier coming back from war. Like some of the struggles, because in your new recent song that you just released, Alone, I love the interaction with the fans, the TikToks, and their own portion of Alone. But let's talk about you on the basis of that song and how it deals with people being institutionalized.
Oh, it's actually, I'm gonna touch on the hook, but talking about incarceration is just a terrible experience. It's not meant to build you up, it's meant to mentally and psychologically break you down. Shout out to my parents. Early on, I was mentally groomed for a lot of things that I went through and have gone through. So when I was in there, I looked at it like a POW, really. Like I really looked at myself as a prisoner of war in there. Like I used to really get into it with the guards, get into it with the inmates, anybody that was on, like, oh, they'd be like, where you housed at? I'd be like, San Francisco, you know what I mean? Because they'd be like, no, here. I'm like, bro, this is not my home. So I don't even call this place my home. You get what I'm saying? People used to be in there playing hee hee ha ha. I didn't do none of that. I read a lot. It was a lot of self-help books, a lot of me dealing with childhood trauma, me also foreseeing where I wanted to be. and preparing myself to be released into a world knowing that pretty much I'm gonna have to pick myself up, because that's what happens, unfortunately, in our communities. You don't get out to somebody saying, here goes $10,000 to start a business. You don't get out. The same money that they use to incarcerate you, they won't invest that in you to make sure that you don't go back. So when I was released, 3 children, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not a stepfather or part-time father or whatever. No, these are my biological children that I'm with, that I cut umbilical cords and all that type of stuff. So being released, it was a shock because I come from the streets. And I don't sell dope no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm not breaking the law to make ends meet. So that was trying on me. Because as a man, we providers and we protectors, right?
That transition.
That shit wasn't cool at all. You know what I'm saying? So now I was like, damn, man, I'm trying to figure it out. And then I was ostracized because I had a buzz, I had momentum, and a lot of people who would have threw a lifeguard, they felt some type of way like, nah, we don't want to see him in position because then he's gonna rise above me.
Exactly.
So that was another thing. And the effects of prison, depending on how you deal with it, or jail or whatnot, you're gonna see. I don't want people to use me as an example. Most people are not like me. Most people are not gonna get out and thrive because they're not receiving or doing what I did when I was in there, and they don't come from my background. So to say he went through it, and no, don't use me. Don't use the exception and apply it to the masses.
Exactly.
They need rehabilitation, they need reform, and then the crimes need to fit the time.
Perfect.
You feel me?
I like how you weigh in.
It makes sense.
Because you transitioned for a while where you were doing your sit downs. And I thought it was so great because you're keeping your image, but you're sitting in some of these plushed out luxury suites and really giving people knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Verbatim per stuff that was going on at this time phrase. I think it's a little bit post-COVID, right? And then COVID hits and you're doing a bunch of this content. And I noticed that you really started transitioning into like a protesting and really acknowledging, because you've always been somebody with the word for Black culture, for us as people of color, always in that realm, but really pushing the issue because I think because of all your guys' success with music and movie and acting of lately, people really forget that you were on the fucking forefront of a huge national debate of police brutality, George Floyd. You even took to the streets and even to the fucking bridge and got it shut down.
Sure.
Can we elaborate a little bit on that?
Shout out to Jamal Trulove.
Hey.
He was the person who got us together. He sent us a text like, hey, I'm finna go to City Hall. And then from that, it led to everything else. And then we formed 4HD, which is a collective of me, Stunner Man 02, Jamal Trulove, and then Dan Thompson. And again, I come from a conscious background. I grew up listening to Tupac, Bob Marley, Marvin Gaye, Sam Cooke, you know what I'm saying? Anita Baker. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Billie Holiday. So I'm very aware of my Blackness. I feel like I just hadn't had a platform. If you listen to my music, a lot of the youngest, they gonna talk to you about the deeper songs, but those never became popular. So when the time came, instead of me straying away from it, I just embraced it. And when we were in the movie The Last Black Man in San Francisco, we had already been prepping pretty much. I wasn't chilling on the block to being on platforms like this, but we were thrown in front of national stages, and then we were on global stages. But again, I come from a different background, so it was natural to me. But speaking up against police brutality is just an extension of me being anti-racist. You know what I'm saying? And people of color is cool. I'm unapologetically Black, and I focus on that because I know that once Black people doing good, other people gonna do better. I also noticed that oftentimes when it's time for people to reap the benefits, Black people are excluded. You feel me? So we don't talk about that. And with police brutality, I know that it doesn't matter how much money you have, education, skin tone, hair texture, you can go somewhere and be killed for the color of your skin, and that's what bothered me. Growing up, police would beat your ass.
Yeah, they would.
You know, I grew up in that era, like, okay, police catch you, beat you up, may drop you off in the enemy territory. But to
Real
be walking,
shady.
like, you know what I mean?
Real shady.
But you live, so it's like, all right, man, these shady ass cops. But to be walking and know, or in a car and know a cop could say, I was scared of you, and then kill you. Like,
Get
come
away
on,
with
man.
murder.
Like, come on, bro.
Adding to what you just spoke on, I saw a tweet of yours where you said the world these days is so hypersensitive, except when it comes to racism. You know, anything else that's pertaining to like, there's zero tolerance, but for whatever reason, when it comes to racism, they want to come up with all these different excuses.
Well, when you look at The Birth of a Nation, which is a movie that premiered, I believe, in the White House back in the early 1900s, like, the United States, outside of the Native Americans, is addicted to trauma and violence on black bodies. You know what I'm saying? I don't care whatever it is you can think of. Why do people love hip hop? Yeah, the music is dope, but they love gangster rap more than they love gang conscious music. You know what I'm saying? So, unfortunately, when it comes to people have been conditioned to believe that black people deserve to suffer. Black people are built to be stronger, whatever that bullshit is. I guess, like, even when women are in labor, like, black women is asking for pain medicine and they're like, oh no, you can take it. So it's just this miseducation. So I know that I wasn't fond of the stereotype. Pertaining to the tweet, we can talk about the LGBTQ community, and it's like, all right, hands off. We can talk about the Jewish community, hands off. We can talk about any community, and I believe as humans, what's wrong with respect? I don't have a problem with any of that, but don't make an exception when it comes to black people. It's like, nah, man, it ain't really no big deal. And I'm not gonna say a name, but people had more to say about a slap than they did a murder.
Right.
So I'm not like, you saw a person get slapped, live to talk about it. We've seen people get killed, and then it's like, oh, I don't really know.
Yeah. Gunna, I gotta ask you, man, you know, with all that we talked about, how do you feel about finally seeing a black judge being appointed to the Supreme Court?
I feel no way. I feel no way about it because, unfortunately, during slavery, you know what I mean, you had black overseers, you know what I'm saying? And right now you have black police officers. So physical representation is cool, but if the ideology is not pro-black, then it's miscellaneous. Because you could look at Justice Thomas, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. So I'm not one of those who's campaigning and cheering for everybody, rooting for everybody black. No, I'm rooting for everybody that's not against black folks. You know what I'm saying? And that's what type of time I'm on. So seeing her, that's cool, but I would like to know what's her background. And I also noticed it's a thing of black people who are with a non-black spouse, black people who are a lighter skin tone, black people whose parents are immigrants that are not really, when you look at Dr. King and Malcolm X, that was a black experience.
Right.
They women was black, they children was black, they parents was black. You get what I'm saying? They come from blackness, and people don't understand that all black ain't the same. If you look in the media and you say, all right, this skin tone, you got the complexion for the protection, and then this skin tone right here, you know what I'm saying, you're more susceptible or more likely to be harmed. As a father and a protector, you will want your child to go somewhere and not be harmed, you know what I'm saying? But that's what has to be combated, and that's why we was protesting, because of that. My children, their mother is a black woman, I'm black. It ain't no complexion for the protection. So I was out there like, damn, bro, because you do something to my son, you do something to my daughter, I'm not protesting, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not one of those, like, shout out to all them parents and stuff, but that's just not how I'm giving it up. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's majorly, I applaud you, brother, for you doing something that, whether circumstances, life, but I still feel like that's no problem. I don't care how hard a woman makes my life or whatever, I'm always gonna be there for my seed. It's an enjoying factor in me now being a father, the way that you give knowledge, that the way that you had your kids on the front line. So you're not protecting this wall of this make-believe world for them. You got them there, as Dryly likes to say, live and direct, right? And the fact that your children speak multiple languages, which is so crazy. And as a fan of not just your brother, but as a fan of how you move, that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because as people will see, like, I brought that earlier, not to, like, somebody might say shade or whatever. We really folks. I just wanted to show the complexity of how you could be afraid of how someone look, but if you just listen for a little bit, look how articulate, on the point, big wordage, just concept of how you're tuned in. I just think that you're fascinating in that point.
I'm humbled by that.
So much that the music is like an after, the acting is like an after, but you are a real human being, because I'm tired of the phrase real nigga, a real person, and you embody that, brother. So I just wanted to give you the big ups on the fatherhood part of that, because you mentioned your seeds and stuff, man. But I want to talk about you being so fucking real, the shadow banning.
Shadow ban come from me being honest about things, but at the same time, it's I'm not even gonna say it's been a love-hate. I realized that as my blessings come in, it's no shadow band that can hold me down. I feel like I use my platform to showcase versatility, because we may talk about the streets, we may talk about politics, or we may just talk about random funny stuff. You know what I'm saying? I may post a song All Alone where they got a challenge. I may post a song Blue Klux Klan, but then you may hear me rapping, damn me spitting. So I do my best to be versatile on these platforms, because too often these artists, the reason why they're suicidal, the reason why they're depressed is because they become one-sided. And unfortunately, I'm gonna go revert back to the slap. If you've been holding something in for 30 years and then you show a person that you're human, as opposed to me, no telling what's gonna happen. You get what I'm saying? Like me, what you see is what you get. I'm not finna pretend like you not gonna get hurt playing with me. Exactly. I'm not finna pretend like every day I'm jolly. Nah, man, I'm gonna be me. So being humble is essential, and then studying the people that come before me that I enjoy watching. I love Pac, Mac Dre, Soulja Slim, DMX, San Quinn. You know, these are people that kick the sneak. These are people that I always felt, because no matter how high up they were, you can still approach them, and you can sense that humanity. Oftentimes in entertainment and sports, they strip you of that because they buffer. Oh no, man, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that, to the point to where Michael Jackson, he had to rent out grocery stores because he wanted to go to the grocery store because they had sheltered Michael so much. No, Michael, you can't go here, you can't go here. They told him that his whole life. So he had to create a world, and that world, you know, unfortunately led to his demise. So with me, I do my best to stay humble.
That's big,
and
bro.
relatable.
I want to ask you about your upcoming album. Well, what you dropped in January, better said, your latest feature, the 21 Summers. Any other projects you got going on the horizon?
Right now, we're focusing on 21 Summers. We got a bunch of singles dropping. As far as the name of a project, no. Fillmore 2 might be coming, but right now we just focus on, I would say, that musical momentum. Big Step is doing what it's doing. The goal is for it to go global, though. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
The music that I got, the goal is for it to go global, and you see us at the top. I'm not really gonna talk about the accolades. I'm gonna talk about more of the people, because that's something that I feel like we can control in that space. Can't control who nominate us, but can for sure control, you know what I'm saying? The music that we put out, and then, you know, responding to the listeners.
I want to give A some big ups and the team too, because the way you guys all conformed from pretty much joining forces on this film, and just the camaraderie it's brought, and how you guys are staying together. And we had a personal call where we talked a few weeks where we were trying to wiggle all this out, right? And you mentioned something that was so, in your phrase, phenomenal. Like, I just think that people aren't okay with playing a part or sacrificing Nick for that or listen to that, and how you just bigged up Stunna about it's supposed to go global, and you're trying to push the narrative and help push and not make it about me, because so many people can get lost in that shuffle and forget about your mans that's been down with the grind, and now that you're here in the position, so many people turn left and put a nigga that they don't even recognize or know.
Weirdo.
And I think that it's so great that you guys are still there. And the fact that you guys are moving, you got this $100 million mindset, you guys are pushing daily, doing conformities of different things and tapping into so many levels. It's just great that you put that emphasis on it, because so many people don't big up the supporting cast.
Teamwork makes the dream work. It's cliche, but every championship, when you look at sports, it's a championship. You got football, you got offense, defense, special teams. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to basketball, you actually do have a coach, and you do have the bench. These are all people that you need to be effective. And I feel people lose sight of that because they search externally. When you got a strong spiritual foundation, then you know everything that you are is what you are. You get what I'm saying? So this person can't give you anything. They can highlight something in you, but it's already in you. And what happens, I feel like, with artists is they want to go here, they want to go there, instead of focusing on what you got going on. No artist has ever got on by dick ride. You know what I'm saying?
That's just a common trait that's just spread it all over now.
No championship has been won by no championship has been won without depth. Allen Iverson is one of the dopest. Look at AI, one of the dopest to ever do it. Now imagine if AI had other people on his team that can bring it. Jordan Benraw, look at the 80s, 0 championships. All right, let's bring in Pippen, let's bring in Kerr, Kukoc, Rodman. Grant, all these other people, and let's get 6 rings.
Exactly.
Way to break that analogy.
You feel me?
Amazing.
The mentality with what we got going on. I met Stunner, he and I made a vow. Met Ace, he and I made a vow. Me and my partners on the block, man, that already solidified. So the people around me, man, it's like at any given time, you can turn into whatever player you need to be. Because I may have a Jordan night, but then the next night I may have to come off the bench.
Right.
Definitely.
Having that mentality and being able to humble yourself is how things work. So bigging up, the next person is not gonna get in the way. It's not gonna overshadow me because I feel like the sun is shining on me. I feel like it's ordained by God for me to be successful. So you can't block my blessings.
Going back to being in The Last Black Man in San Francisco, we've previously had Jamal Trulove on our show.
Shout out Millie.
Also had Stunner Man on the show.
Shout out Stunner Man too.
They both gave us their stories of how they became involved in the project. How did you become involved in the project?
So it was this young man who grew up listening to my music. His name happened to be Stunner Man 02.
Wow.
And
that's crazy.
Yeah, well, you know what I'm saying? What was dope about
that's really destiny and manifesting right
that's
there.
super ill. We about 6 blocks apart, but we got some age between us. And he was in a space where he was hollering at the casting director. And he was like, if y'all gonna do a movie about the city, y'all need to have Gunna in there. You know what I mean? This is before the Gunna Goes Global.
Yes.
Previously, I was Gunna. But I remember that he DM'd me like, hey, you interested in being in the movie? And I didn't really think much of it.
Yeah.
I really thought it was gonna be, shout out to JT, the bigger figure. I thought it was gonna be like Beware Those, which I was with. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was gonna be a Beware Those. So I was like, yeah, man, just have him tap in with me. So the dude ended up tapping in with me, shout out to him. And he was like, are you available? And I don't know if it was my mom, I don't know if it was Ace. Well, my mom always tell me don't go nowhere ungroomed. So I think it was raining the night when it was time to audition. It may have been Ace.
Nobody know like moms,
Yeah,
bro.
for real. She was like, don't go nowhere ungroomed. I was like,
For
man,
real.
I think it was a Tuesday or Wednesday night. And I'm like, man, I ain't even cut. I end up going in there. We auditioned, and then they write me into it because it was only, I think, supposed to be 4 of us. Wow. But our chemistry, I'm talking about, it's in my phone. The first time we get together, you would have thought we was all born and raised together.
Wow.
I mean, ideally, like someone who's known
not.
all of you guys individually in time, but not. It dawned on me, I've been just out for so long. It didn't really dawn on me, like I really met y'all all separately. But cause y'all been mobbing so long, I thought I met y'all all together, and that's just a mind-blowing thing.
Also, had y'all been rocking with 10 Millie prior to that project?
Millie had just got out. Millie, remember, he had got, I think, 55 to life or 50 years to life. And he had just been released, and he ended up getting that by being at United Players. So when you look at us, when you look at the way we came together, it meshed organically. Same with my men's Ace, same with Chaz. Shout out to Ace, because when I met him, it was in a business space, but over the years he became my friend because of similar ideologies. Same with Chaz, another dude, and I tend to attract those type of people.
Solid
You know what I'm saying? I tend to attract people who are not so much about the glitz and glamour, but more about the success and valuing morals and principles, because it's easier to build with your friend than it is somebody that's contracted out. That really, you know, they go swap you out anytime they get a chance.
Sometimes people don't acknowledge that professionalism. Sometimes it's just really fucking business,
which is cool. Just let a person know.
But like you said, just let a nigga know. You know, I think it's mainly that the fact that, you know, now that you guys all have come by here and bless us, that it's just really manifesting destiny, like we keep saying, because you guys all were like, just like, I don't think so, I don't know, and then you guys pulling this trigger, and just look how much has happened since that space, like, you know what I mean? So I think that it's just phenomenal that y'all all came together, and I told Maul, like, man, you guys really stole the fucking show in that movie, like, for real, like,
we kept it down to earth, man. Shout out to The Last Black Man in San Francisco. I feel like it's an acquired taste as a film. So if you used to watching high-paced films, you gonna feel like that, you know what I'm saying? Because when I first saw it, I watched it like 5 times, and I had to understand what A24 is known for. So they make just like totally different movies.
I like their production. They make a lot of good movies.
You know what I'm saying? So
it's a movie that really makes you think.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's not it was never intended for the masses. That's why A24 movies, they get awarded, nominated and stuff like that, but you don't really hear out of the 7.5 billion people, not a lot of people is like The Last Black Man in San Francisco, because they don't even market it. They don't even market it like that. But yeah, we definitely we improvised that too. So everything that you heard us say when we were on set, Like originally it was like it was LA dialogue, and I spoke up like, nah, that ain't how we talk.
I swear to God, I could use my
that's really how it was. I was like, nah, man, it's like 93 to 96 death row language. I'm like, bro, we don't even have them names no more. You feel me?
He gets the point across for sure.
And then everybody, the director, the writer was like, okay, because shout out to Joe too.
I mean, how can they tell y'all otherwise? Y'all are really from here.
So that was the dope ass part about it, man. I gotta shout out to Joe for using his access and his privilege, because as a white dude in America, he never pretended to know our struggle. Yeah. He never pretended to know everything. He was more of a student, and he was an ally. You get what I'm saying? So he was like, we're gonna press record or whatever, y'all do y'all thing, and whatever we keep, we gonna keep. Y'all come do the voiceovers, and that's why it was so organic and authentic, because we was on the block, on the corner, fucking around.
As raw and as real as it gets.
Literally.
It don't get no thick.
No script.
Before we get out of here, I just want to highlight one thing that draws me so much. Like, if I didn't know you today and I peeped your fucking content, the way that your mind goes from your thoughts go from your mind to the visuals, it's just absolutely crazy. One of your latest videos, I mean, people relate to it so much because it embodies one of the fucking greatest video games ever made, GTA. You know, can we talk about the single and the mindset with it? Because I'm emphasizing this before we leave, but I think that people forget the mob music with San Francisco. And like I said, we've kind of been rendition this episode as 415, you know what I mean? Because you are real Frisco. And I think that we need to embody that. And you've taken that and made it your own, literally, through visuals like that.
Shout out my partner Diddy, he just did like 16 years. I made the song, sent it to him. When it came time, we got the budget after Blue Klux Klan. I got with Ace, so me and Ace in the room, we just chopping it up. I'm like, I told her I'm from Grove like I'm CJ. So from the very beginning, we knew we got to get into the GTA space. And I believe it was a platform that Ace went on, and we went over our budget, you know what I'm saying? Because he always asked me, like, man, what's the budget? What's the budget? I'm like, man, it's whatever. And if you deal with directors, writers, or whatever, they don't want to hear it's whatever, man. Give me a hard budget, because you want $1 million video or do you want a $5,000 video? So we in there, and we going over the hourly rates, and we going over the aesthetics of things, and that's how we end up mapping it out. But the very beginning of the video, it was always gonna be like that from the beginning as far as GTA, and that's actually the last time I played video games was San Andreas. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Motherfucker be in there 12 hours, brother, drinking, smoking, chilling. On that shit.
Bro, for real.
Cheat code me up.
Yeah, so shout out to the team, shout out to Ace, shout out to Chaz, because, shout out to Sean too. Shout out to Jesus, he behind the cameras. But when I get together as a writer, I like to work with people on the other side of the camera who can convey my message and collaborate with. Because they always gonna put their sauce in there. You know what I'm saying? But let's collaborate, let's put our egos to the side and be able to make dope visuals, and that's what we do. You know what I'm saying? We have a lot of fun doing it too.
I think I would like to end, because I think that the partnership, shout out to Stunner.
Okay, shout out Stunner Metal too.
Of how y'all brought his high energy and his hyphy and your mob and your, like, you know, I'm gonna stand up on my position. I really feel that you guys' joint album Fillmore is timeless.
I appreciate that.
I mean, we see it every time you guys hit the club, the turn-ups, the people, they love it. Can we talk about what it was like? Because you guys are building this camaraderie, you're building this brothership, and like how he was mentioning, like, pretty much like iron sharpen iron, but the possibilities that's come off of that, like the pre-rolls and all these historic clubs and stuff now. You want to weigh in on that?
So the pre-rolls came from an extension of Fillmore, and what he and I do, it's a younger brother, older brother simulation. I feel like I pour wisdom, he pours energy, and then that's how we're able to intertwine. So the music is the mob, and it is, I would say, I'm not gonna say hyphy, but yeah, it is high energy because that's who he is. You know what I'm saying? He got a lot of, he's got all the energy. So when we went in there, it was just beats that we both agreed on. So that's one thing. We start with the beat. And then the concepts, we make sure that they're relatable. Me being from the streets, I'm not gonna have him on no song talk about getting all type of shit, suckers, fuck this, fuck that, I'm not gonna do that. And then I feel like the space that he's in, he not gonna have me on a song where it's totally out of my element. So we meet in the middle and we have a lot of fun. Every record that we get on, man, is natural, instinctive, and it's fun. And everything that we do plan things afterwards, but we don't force nothing. We communicate frequently, but everything we do is just organic. From like when we met on set. Everything was organic, man. We're not forcing nothing. We just mobbing, and it's a beautiful thing because we are we represent two different identities, I feel like, in the black experience. But what's dope is you got the dude who grew up in the neighborhood, but I'll tell you in a minute, yeah, we can fight, but my nigga, I ain't really, like, I'm not trying to shoot you and shit like that. And then you got the opposite end of the spectrum.
We can
and then
talk, I can get my pistol
on top, you know what I'm saying? So when you have that, we need that representation so they can't put us against each other. Too often they want to make you pick, but it's like, bruh, this is my brother and this is my cousin. So when you go to any other group of people, you got the gangsters, and then you got the bus drivers. It goes from one spectrum to another. With us, it's like if you ain't in the streets, you a squirt, bro. We gotta balance this shit out. So that's what he and I do, man. We balance it out, and the majority of people that I collaborate with, that's what we do, man. It's a balance. And then I gotta shout out these beautiful hoodies that I got on, man. You know, these are made here in the Bay. So make sure y'all go to thebayhoodie.com. And get you like 5 of them for the culture.
I'm just always in wow how you keep just, you know, setting the bar for San Francisco, you know, is what,
shout out San Francisco.
What we have for ourselves, and I just want to say thank you, man, because this is definitely gonna help us out, push this show to let people know that the Bay Area. Let me get some love, because you guys definitely came through and blessed us. And I want to let y'all know that this Gunna, can we just let them know right there that this ain't over?
No, it's not over.
Because they like y'all's rendition of y'all both being together. Can we bring a little bonus?
Big bonus?
Can we bring a bit? Can we
bring
a bonus?
Man, we got y'all, man. We gonna do whatever's clever. You understand,
y'all just
man?
stay tuned 1 minute. We ain't over yet.
That's it, man.
GunnaGoesGlobal. Follow him on the IG. This man is out here putting it on for the city, for everybody out here in the Bay Area. Approach him respectfully, but he's definitely gonna give you that love back, man, because my man is the man. You feel me?
Ain't no stock, it's a clock. Ain't no missing with this chop. It's a ladder, it's a mob. When I knock, Betty drop. Killer rap, fuck the cops. Get the gat, it's a op. Man down when I pop you niggas off, but did some socks. Fillmoe niggas in your section, get your bitch snatch. Headshot committee when I yank, get your shit cracked. Aggressive with the Emma on lack. Lace around my neck with a Mac. I don't do no running, got the gat. Catch him on tuna, leave him flat. She wanna be my bitch, but they all do. These niggas and they feelings like the bras do. You can't have my number, I'ma call you. And if you talking about some chicken, I'ma fall through. She wanna be my bitch, but they all do. These niggas and they feelings like the bras do. You can't have my number, I'ma call you. And if you talking about some chicken, I'ma fall through.